We admit you.
Okay, good morning, good afternoon. You are joining us from. Welcome. See me. Okay, sorry, just found that I was muted. So today you are welcome to the Open Export series. Today on our first edition of this engagement under our Scaling Export program, we're going to be discussing unleashing growth potential, seizing the opportunities of the global marketplace for agribusinesses. And we are delighted to have you join us. A run through of today's agenda is the welcome, which we are already doing, and then we'll be taking you through what AFC is, who AFC is, what do we do, and also our programs, and then ask you about our export stories. Then we would have the meat of today's conversation, where we would have our facilitator come speak to us on the theme of today's engagement. We'll definitely have opportunities to get question and answers from a few persons, and then our group picture, which I would prefer to call a family picture, and then we'll have the AFC membership drive, and we will be done for today. Before we officially start, we'd love to ask you to introduce yourself, your name, your country, your agribusinesses, where you're joining us from. Please rep your country. So I would officially introduce myself. My name is Indegijo Anna Mambola from Abuja, Nigeria, definitely, and I serve as a communication officer at AFC. So do introduce yourselves in the chat box, and this would be an amazing opportunity to network, meet people. You can never know who you'd meet in the chat box. It can be somebody who is even close at your locality, who on a normal circumstances would never have met, business partners, and a lot more. So while we are doing that, I would go to the chat box and definitely check. So we await your responses. Feel free to definitely connect. This is a community that has entrepreneurs who are doing amazing things. Next is pulse check. Would love to know how you're feeling today. As you can see from my face, I am excited, seeing that this is our first edition of this program. I'm excited, hence the smiles on my face. So please use the emoji, the chat box, drop in the emoji that best describes how you feel right now. I think I can see a response here. I can see Ayari Katel Alex. Apologies if I'm not pronouncing your name right. He is from, okay, a lot of responses are coming and it is taking him out. He's from Nigeria, Benue State, and I think he owns or works with Alex Katel Agri-Food Business. I'm seeing No Loso Damian. Apologies again if I am not pronouncing your name right. Veterinarian by profession, and is into integrated animal farming, veterinary care, delivery services, and a whole lot. And his office is at Bwari, Abuja, Up Veritas University. That is in Nigeria. It's amazing to have you on the call, No Loso and Ayari Katel. I can see a lot more responses. I can see the emojis. Please keep it coming. Hi, I can see Ayale Chibukem, success from Nigeria, currently in Ghana. It is amazing to have you on the call with us. So I'll just move on to the next aspect. And then finally, I'm seeing Mujahid Saye from Kano, Nigeria. It is amazing to have you on the call. We are excited to have you today. Next, we would have the About AFC. A number of persons here might be new to who AFC is and what we do. So I'll be calling on Adana Emafido, our program coordinator and the lead of, she's also leading one of our programs here, but she would fully introduce herself to introduce you to the AFC community and also give you insights to what we do as an organization. Over to you, Adana.
Thank you so much, Anna. I'm glad to have everyone here. This is African Food Changemakers, and we are glad you're here to learn about exports. And, one thing about African food chain makers is that we help agri-businesses scale sustainable businesses. So we are happy to have you here. And I'm here to take you through who we are as African food change makers. Next slide, please. So one of the things that African food change makers is known for is that we believe in small and medium scale enterprises because you are the lifeblood of our economy. Africa looks up to small and medium scale enterprises because we actually sustain the economy. And in African food change makers, we try to help empower businesses to be able to withstand the devastating impact of the climate change that we have, currently, affecting the world. So we don't just try to help you scale, we try to help you mitigate the effects of climate change. Next slide, please. So we believe, or our mission is, we enable African entrepreneurs to start and scale resilient and sustainable agribusinesses, like I mentioned earlier. We do that so that businesses can be empowered to feed Africa and also the world. Our vision is also to be able to empower 1 million successful and sustainable African agribusinesses that are transforming the food ecosystem across the globe. Next slide, please. So African Food Chain Makers has a range of programs, and we have the BRACE program called the Building Resilience Against Climate and Environmental Shocks. This program is actually an intensive capacity building program that empowers entrepreneurs to, with technical skills. We provide technical support. We also help these agribusinesses to implement sustainable solutions that can help them scale in spite of the climate change effects. We have the Leading African Women in Food Fellowship, whereby we empower, we amplify the voices of leading women in food. And we have a range of categories where we have the top chefs, we have the ecosystem enablers, we have the food and beverage narrative changers, we have the disruptors, we have the trailblazers. So these women, we have actually helped them amplify their voices. We put them on the global stage so that they can speak their truth, speak about the impact they are making across the globe with their agri-food businesses or career, as the case may be. The next program is the Scaling Export Program, for which is the organizer of this Open Export Series. With Scaling Export Program, we actually help and empower agribusinesses to be able to scale through exports. So we build your capacity to be able to export healthy and nutritious agri-food products across Africa, as well as the global stage. One of the things that we have done is we launched our program, the XCP program, in 2023 with 845 applications from 25 African countries, where we also trained, onboarded, and also provided a pre and post diagnostic tool that was customized, tool that helped to gauge and know the stage at Okay, sorry for the glitch. It was a network, but I think we'll proceed from there. And the Scaling Export Program is actually made for people who intend to go into export, who wants to move to the next level when it comes to scaling their businesses, taking your products to different parts of the world and being able to expand your reach. So if you're interested, you can drop in the link or in the chat box to show that you're interested in joining the Scaling Export Program for the next cohort. So I would like to ask, how many of you have started exporting? You can drop it in the comment box. We want to know how far you've gone, your impact story, and what you intend to do if you've not started. What are the plans for you to export your products? So I'll be looking at the chat box to see how many people have started exporting their products. How many of you haven't started, but you intend to start exporting your products? We want to know so that we can have, we can reach you and be able to register you for the next cohort of the Scaling Export Program. So yeah, we're waiting. So if yes, tell us about your experience in the export terrain. If you have not started exporting, what is the challenge that you're facing in exporting? And if you're interested in knowing more, kindly put your email address and say, I want to know more. Okay, so we're moving to the next segment, and I would like to invite Anna back to the scene so she can continue as we wait for your
Okay, thank you so much, Adana. So I'll go to the comments to see our responses. So Adana asked, have you started exporting? If yes, tell us about your export experience. What are the challenges, shortcomings you've had? And if no, what is actually the hindrances that have stopped you from exporting your products outside of your country, maybe Nigeria, Ghana, depending on where you are. And I can see a lot of persons putting in their email address and signifying that they are interested in the next cohort of the Scaling Export Program. That is amazing. Our team will compile this and reach out to you. I can see persons saying the challenges for why they haven't started exporting is they have challenges are funds. That's one response. Sorry, it's moving so fast, I can't see it. I think it's coming from Kalomo Masuka. He says this challenge, he or she actually said the challenge is fund, and I can see what he is saying is logistics. Adeyemi says, I have not started, but I intend to know more. So please sign up for the SCP cohort that would be starting next year. And then, okay, I think in most responses here is they haven't started, they are intending to start, they are looking forward to gaining knowledge. Okay, that's amazing. I see a lot of persons dropping. Kayode said, I don't have knowledge about it. And I can see some YouTube, oh God, this is going so fast. But thank you so much. Challenge is what to export with sustained supply. Vivian said, unable to identify legit logistic brand in China. So thank you so much for your responses. Please just keep the responses going. And definitely my team members who are on the call will pick up your emails for those who are interested. And they would reach out to you, definitely assign you up for the next cohort. So moving on, one of our programs also at African Food Changemakers is our Changing Global Narrative project, where we engage media partners, content creators, chefs, stakeholders in the food to tell compelling stories. A lot of persons, when they think about Africa, think about food, they see hungry children, starving people, dry land. That is not the story we want to share about Africa. We have a rich heritage of food and cuisine that the international community needs to be aware of. So what we do at AFC under the Changing Narrative project is we create documentary videos, we organize food festivals and showcases, we do cooking demonstrations, and we also have podcasts. So do well to go to our website, www.afchub.org/podcast, to listen to the amazing podcasts we've produced on different African products, and also the documentary on jollof, which is a bone of contention for a lot of African countries, who has the best jollof. So I would recommend that you go and listen to our documentary. So we'll just move on to the next agenda. We are having, this is like the meat of today's conversation. I'm excited to learn from Miss Adetokunbo Adewoyin, who is the principal consultant at Fortress 20 Global Limited. She is a highly experienced trade expert with over 17 years in the field. She holds a BSc in Management and Accounting from Obafemi Awolowo University in Nigeria, an MBA from the Oxford University, USA, and a certificate in Agribusiness Management from the Lagos Business School, Nigeria. She's known for her expertise in non-oil exports, particularly agribusinesses and intra-African trade. Adetokunbo is a leading authority in the export field here in Nigeria and even beyond Nigeria. As a principal consultant at Fortress 20 Global, she supports both aspiring and established exporters by offering guidance on export advisory, export readiness, assessment, trade curriculum development, trade and market information, and a lot more. Her career includes diverse projects with various local and international organizations. With a certification in international trade finance from the London Institute of Business and Finance, Adetokunbo blends extensive practical experience in agricultural commodities exports with contemporary knowledge of international trade. She is dedicated to ensuring successful trade transactions, especially for youth and women in agribusiness and non-oil exports across Africa. She is the host of Made for Exports on Instagram Live, a weekly program that highlights value-added products from Africa. She also uses her YouTube platform to promote trade and non-oil export products through three main programs: Quick Trade Tips, Trade Nuggets, and Global Trade for Beginners. Additionally, she's an author of 2 ebooks, Export Lingo and Export Contract. This is a whole lot. So I believe that from the bio of our facilitator, you are in for a treat. So make sure you get your pen, your jotters, a cup of water beside you, or anything to refresh yourself while you listen to Miss Adetokunbo Adewoyin as she speaks to us on the theme of today's session. It's amazing to have you on the call. Please, over to you.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Can you confirm that you can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, great. It's so good to be here this afternoon. I think it's afternoon in Nigeria. I think in some places, maybe East Africa, you are already approaching evening. My name, as you have heard, is Adetokunbo Adewoyin, and I'm just very excited to be here this afternoon to speak to our agribusiness people, because you are the ones who you are the entrepreneurs who are changing the agribusiness narrative in Africa. And it's such a joy to interact with you. Kindly go to the chat section and share with me the products you make and the country you are joining me from. Okay. I'm looking out for that. I want this to be an interactive session. Okay, poultry production in Nigeria, palm oil, Nigeria, snail and catfish, mainly Nigeria. Crop production, spices, vegetable oil in Nigeria. Where are the people from other African countries? Oh, South Africa, lovely. Zambia, lovely. Okay, okay, so we're here. I can see that we are here. Sisal farming in Kenya, that's interesting. Ginger, Nigeria. Ngomera seeds, Malawi, lovely. Gary palm oil, Afang, Nigeria. Crop production, Gambia. Grains in Nigeria. Cashew from Nigeria. Lovely, lovely. This is lovely. It's so interesting what you all are doing. And you are changing the narrative for Africa. And it's just so important that we put that out there. Okay, so we're going to start already. Where's my slide hiding? Okay. Can you confirm that you can see my slide?
Yes, I can.
Okay, okay, lovely. Okay, so there's quite a lot that we have to cover. I know that I have just 30 minutes, and we're going to be looking at understanding global market trends in agribusiness, identifying high potential export markets, the products, the challenges, the opportunities, the strategies for scaling, leveraging sustainability, and I'm going to tell you two stories of agribusinesses that I personally know who are expanding globally. And then we're going to look at what the next steps are. You know, so because we are different people at different stages in our businesses, it's important for you to understand that this should I call it lecture, will mean different things to different people, right? So depending on the stage that you are at, that's where you will be able to relate from. So don't be under any pressure by who is doing or what the other person is doing or what the other person is not doing. I would like for you to pick something that you would like to work on in your own business so that at the end of this session, there's something that you are actively working at. So when we talk about global trends in agriculture, what do you think is driving the trend? And this is a question now. Do you think that consumer taste has changed in the last 10 years? What do you think? I'm in the chat section looking at what you think. Do you think that consumer taste has changed? Okay, someone said healthy living, lovely. Okay, okay, yeah, okay, okay. Right. Yeah. Someone said, especially the demand for organic. Yes, it has changed. Global climate drive and all of that. Yes, it has. Right. So when we understand what is driving the climate change, we can begin to understand what those changes are. So consumer demands are changing, production methods are changing, and the trade dynamics have even changed. You know, it's interesting that even between COVID and now, some things have changed in the way that we do things, right? So that is basically what is driving global demand. So let's look at some of the global market trends in agribusiness. The first one is the rising demand for food security. Well, I see a lot of Nigerians on this call, and if you're in Nigeria, you would agree with me that this year has been a very interesting year in terms of rising prices, right, of food, right, on the one hand, and the growth, the population growth. So population is growing at a very, very fast rate, and it is driving the demand for food. You know, as long as people keep giving birth to children, as long as population keeps rising, it's going to drive the demand for food security and even the demand for a variety, right? So the more people you have, the more food we need, the more of the variety. Africa alone is 1 billion people, and more people being born. And you know, there's also this idea of nutritional preferences. So some people, there's a lot of awareness around nutritional preferences, right? And some people are saying that they want healthy foods, they want superfoods. I know some of you have heard about moringa, some of you have heard about chia seeds. And you know, it's just interesting what people are demanding generally. Another thing which someone has mentioned rightly is the shift towards health and organic products, right? So during COVID, we saw that because it was the whole world that was suffering from COVID, there was a need for people to drive alternatives, right? And so during COVID, the price of ginger rose so very high because a lot of people believed that ginger was a solution to COVID, and export of ginger skyrocketed massively during COVID. So we have looked at two things now: the rising demand for food security. As our population grows, we must have the equivalent food for our population, right? And then as our population also grows, the taste of people is changing, right? So two things we've looked at: rising demand for food security, shift towards organic products and healthy products. Now we're going to look at the third trend, and that's technology and digital agriculture. So the way farming has been done is very, very different from the way farming is now done, right? So I have this friend in the US, you know, the way he does, he studied agriculture in Nigeria, but he went on to the US. And, you know, the way he does his farming in the US, he's studying to be a professor, he's already a doctor. The way he does his farming is precision farming. So we're not hopeful that the products will yield. We know that the products will yield because we have created an environment such that the products will yield. You know, one of the things I used to say about export is that there's such a thing called export farming. So if you don't deliberately plant for exports, that's when you have quality issues. But if you deliberately plant for exports, then you're not going to have quality issues because the seeds that you plant are already going to be selected to have a particular set of characteristics which will match the quality parameters that the market is demanding. So there's a lot of innovation around smart farming, technologies like IoT, big data, and all of these other things. They are helping us to optimize resources. There's also a lot going on around blockchain, adoption in agribusiness. And you know, that's ensuring like transparency in the supply chain, because transparency is one of the things that is being critically looked at in the market, right? And then there's the one that all of us, well, I think that most people know, which is the trade policy and market access. And you know, there are a lot of trade agreements that are currently coming up. There's the AFCFTA, and AFCFTA is opening a lot of regional markets. and regional opportunities for us all. AFCFTA means that you now have 53 countries or 54, depending on what side you are on, to do business with in the nearest future. You can further section this down into Anglophone Africa, Francophone Africa, maybe Portuguese or Arabic Africa, or even divide it into the regional economic communities, SADC, COMESA, ECOWAS, AMU, ECAS, and you know, it just means that your products don't have to go to Europe, US, and all those other countries. In the African countries, maybe East Africa, West Africa, North Africa, Southern Africa, people can actually demand for your products. So this trade policy and market access thing is opening up markets for your products in different countries across Africa. So that's another global trend. And if you have been following the trend, you'll discover that there's a lot of conversation around the AFCFTA. Another thing that is driving the global market trend will be sustainability and environmental impact. So there is a lot of conversation currently going on around sustainability and environmental impact. So we are looking at eco-friendly practices. Do your activities impact environment in a good manner? Are you using renewable energy? Are you avoiding deforestation? Are you upsetting the biodiversity in your farms? And then there's, you know, I think it was Anna that mentioned at the beginning about climate change. You know, climate change affected cocoa last year, El Nino, and cocoa went to an all-time high from like 3 million per ton to 15 million per ton because of climate change. So we need to start looking at climate-resistant varieties and the adaptability of the crops due to climate change. So agricultural research should be directed in that area. Then the next thing we'll be looking at is the demand for value-added and processed agricultural products, right? So some people are staying with the raw products, but we always say that it's better for you to move on to value-added products. Sometimes it's even like necessary to customize products for, okay, my slides are running ahead of me. Let me just bring them back. Okay, so sometimes the market is even demanding for customization for regional tastes. So for example, I remember when Domino's came to Nigeria, pizza came to Nigeria, they customized the pizza for the African palate. That meant that the pizza was spicy, it had a lot of pepper. There was a particular brand that they called chicken suya, beef suya, you know, just to customize it to this region. Because if you left it to mushrooms and olives and cheese, which is what it is in their own countries, then you will find out that you might not really appeal to the taste of the average Nigerian, right? There's another thing which a lot of people are not looking at, which is the Japa trend. So I don't know what it looks like in other countries, but in Nigeria, for example, a lot of people are traveling abroad. And that means that markets are opening up in those countries because a lot of people are there. And because they are there, then there's a demand for their food, and there's a demand for those food to be value added, because for it to move to those countries, there's a way it has to look. So for those in Nigeria, for example, imagine if I want to send okpa. Okpa is an Igbo delicacy, right? If I want to send okpa abroad, right? Am I going to be able to send it abroad in that state that okpa is? Do you understand? Is there a way that I can add value or process it such that I can move okpa dry to those countries where there's a rising diaspora population, right? Same for pap. Now there's dried pap, but before pap used to be wet, and nobody could think about the fact that pap will be dry. But now there's dry pap, and that means that it can move from one destination to the other. So let's look at identifying high potential export markets for agribusiness products. So I've just picked 4 areas, and Africa, for example, has a growing market for agricultural products within the continent. Some of these products, let me just mention the products. Some of these products are cocoa, sesame seed, shea nuts, shea butter, cassava, avocado, coffee, hibiscus, ginger. And the reason why there's a demand is because they are used in the food industry, the beauty industry, the health industry, and even just exporting, right? So if we have started adding value, if I have started adding value to a particular product, for example, and the raw materials I need are not enough from my own country, I can go to a neighboring African country and get the raw materials from that neighboring African country. So that is a potential market. And like I said earlier, Europe and America and the UK and Canada don't necessarily have to be our markets. Markets are available in Africa. For the Asia Pacific, right? Asia Pacific has a demand for high value, sustainable agribusiness products. Some of those things are organic rice, seaweed. My people from East Africa will know what seaweed is. Spices, herbal teas, avocado, honey, coffee, and cocoa. But the catch to this market is that all of these products have been sustainably produced, right? So they're not just saying we have a demand for these products. They are saying that these products that you want to send to us, have they been sustainably produced? Was there any harm to the environment? Were the people who produced them, were they exposed to a harsh condition? All of these questions have to be answered when you are moving to those countries. Then let's talk about Europe. Europe has a preference for organic and sustainably sourced products, right? And some of these products that Europe is demanding are organic fruits and vegetables, plant-based products like chickpeas, essential oils, fair trade cocoa and coffee, and herbal supplements, right? Like I said, it has now gone beyond the product. So how is the product produced? So in Europe, there's a market for cocoa. There's also a market for sustainably produced cocoa. The pricing for those products will be different because the people who are getting the products, the people who want the organic are willing to pay a premium for the organic ones. And then we're looking at North America. North America has opportunities for ethnic foods, such as tropical fruits, mangoes, pineapples, spices, plant-based protein products, cassava and yam flour, which are gluten-free, right? So it's not just cassava flour, it's not just yam flour. They're talking about the one that is gluten-free. Coconut products, the milk, the water, the oil, fermented foods, because of their probiotic properties, and ready to eat ethnic meals, right? So those are some of those high potential markets. Like I said, for you, it might just be determining what the market wants and tailoring your product to that market that we are currently speaking about. So, and I know that most people want, when they want to export, if I'm to ask anyone in this room now that which of these countries do you want to export to, the chances are that the person will say, I want to export to all of these countries. But the interesting thing is the rules and regulations for these different origins differ, right? So if you are trying to tailor your products to all of these countries at the same time, you might find out that you might have like 4 variants or 5 variants of your products because you need to meet the specifications of the different countries. So it's typically advisable that when you are beginning, establish a product line for one market first, and when you have taken proficiency of that market, you can then move into other markets. So of course, there are going to be challenges in the market that you are going to. And what are some of these challenges? Some of these challenges are regulatory and compliance issues. And like I mentioned earlier, tailoring, different markets have different requirements. So I've met the requirements in Nigeria doesn't mean I have met the requirements in the US, and it doesn't mean I have met the requirements in China, and it doesn't mean I have met the requirements in the UK, right? So that's one of the challenges we have, regulatory and compliance challenge. Another one is supply chain and logistics. It's very interesting that it is more challenging to move products within Africa than it is to move products out of Africa. So I have people who would get orders from Kenya or who would get orders from further East African countries, and they'll be like, they can't fulfill the order because the cost of logistics of moving those products from Nigeria, where I am, to those countries would practically make the transaction. Most times the buyer doesn't want to follow through with the transaction. So supply chain and logistics is quite a challenge. Another one would be competition and market saturation. So I don't know if it happens in other African countries, but in Nigeria it happens. It's what we call the head mentality. So somebody is producing spices. You see on TV that someone made $1 million from spices, and everybody wants to produce spices. Everybody all of a sudden they want to make yachi spice. Everybody all of a sudden they want to make barbecue spice because someone has said that they made a lot of money from that product. So there's the head mentality that is prevalent in Africa. But the challenge of the head mentality is market saturation and how you differentiate yourself from competition. So if all of us are making yam flour, for example, how is my own yam flour different from your own yam flour? How is my own plantain flour different from your own plantain flour? How will we differentiate the products in the global market? So how will you stand against a competitor, right? So these are some of the challenges. But even though they are challenges, right? And I did put the challenges first. I put the challenges first because I wanted you to think about the opportunities more. There are opportunities in the market, and one of the opportunities is diversifying your income, right? So if peradventure they say that the local market where you currently sell your product is no longer available, what will happen to your business? If peradventure the local market where you sell your products suddenly is not taking your products any longer, what will happen to your products? Would that mean the end of your business? Will your business fold up, right? So there's opportunity for you to diversify your income when you move into exports. You know, I mentioned earlier that 54 countries in Africa, you don't need to deal the 54. In fact, if you're just doing 2 or 3 or 4 African countries, it means that income is coming from those other countries apart from your own country of origin, right? So that's one of the opportunities in global agribusiness trade. Another one is government support and incentives. You know, a lot of people don't know that the government supports exporters to some extent in getting certifications, in helping with some registrations, in providing even grants for export activities, in export promotion activities. So there is government grants and support that is available for business opportunities. And even in some other instances, there's certification support, which could come in form of subsidizing the cost of the certification. And I might not be able to speak to the other African countries, but I know that in Nigeria, for example, it's available, even though some people don't know. The government pays for some people to go for trade fairs and trade promotions and exhibitions in other countries, all in the bid to promote export. And then the third opportunity is capacity building and training support from external organizations. So one of the things that a lot of people have benefited from are capacity building trainings from export organizations and even from international organizations. So from time to time, development organizations come into the country to train people on global best practices for the export market. And that way they help them to get export ready. I'm looking at my time and I know that my time is fast spent. So I'll just run through the rest of my slides. So how do you develop strategies for scaling your agribusiness? Number one is market research. A lot of people don't want to hear this, that you should engage in market research, right? And I don't know why they don't want to hear it, but some people just don't want to hear that they should engage in market research most of the time, right? So there's a need for you to engage in market research. There's a need for you to know what the market is demanding for and what the barriers to entry or what the barriers to entry might be for the particular market that you are looking at. So I might decide that I want to go into the UK, for example, to African shops. Meanwhile, everybody, that is what their focus is on. So I need to research that market. Is the market saturated already? Or is the market available for me to get into and be able to get into and okay, somehow I can't seem, okay, yeah. Yes, I'm just looking for my slides. Okay, great, lovely. You know, just know what the market is demanding, basically. What's the market demanding? What are the barriers to accessing that market? And then another thing is your capacity, your export capacity. So some people want to export, but they can't fill out large export orders. So you need to establish efficient production capacity. You need to meet quality standards and you need to ensure consistency. And one of the ways that you can do this is to collaborate with others in the same industry so that when large orders come, you don't turn them down because they are large orders. You can always fulfill those large orders. Another thing is partnership. And the last thing is export readiness. Export readiness is absolutely important. I know a lot of people think that export readiness is just a way to slow you down. No, you need to be export ready. You need to assess the capabilities of the export market, the capabilities needed to get into the export market, and see if you are ready to get into the export market. So, you know, we've talked about sustainability and innovation we've talked about sustainability earlier, and now I want to talk about sustainability and innovation for market advantage. Adopting eco-friendly practices such as organic farming, renewable energy, or water-saving techniques might meet the demand in the global market for sustainable products. We talked about value addition already. We talked about traceability and transparency. We talked about climate resilient crops, and we talked about product innovation. The product that you have now is not necessarily the best way that you can make the product. In fact, it might not be the last product that can come out of your process. For some people, the waste from their product might be converted to clean energy, and that might be a product for you. I met someone, I think it was earlier in the year, the person is into pig farming, and the person was talking about how she makes her own feed. And, you know, she was very protective of the formula, and she was saying she doesn't want to share it with anybody. And, you know, I said to her, you don't necessarily have to share it with anybody, but you can sell the feed. Some people are not willing to make that feed. So the feed will also become a stream of income for you. And then you can help those people grow pork that is good, that you can also buy from them if your demand on your own end cannot be met, right? Okay, so I said that I was going to tell you two stories of people who have successfully expanded their agribusinesses globally. So the first person is Adeola Balogun, and I'd like you to Google these people after we finish this session so that you can read their full stories. So for her, she had gone for a training abroad, and she discovered freeze-dried technology for preserving fruits. And then she thought about it that, can't we use this freeze-dried technology for preserving our own local food so that we can preserve their taste, their flavor, and their freshness? And, you know, she also thought about it that most times when fruits are in season, there's always an abundance of the fruit, and a lot of it goes to waste. So if she freeze dries it into snacks and powder, she would have reduced post-harvest loss, which was prevalent in season, right? And then there will be no need for cold freezing and trying to keep them fresh. And with this freeze-dried technology, she has been able to make dried fruit snacks, fruit powders, vegetable powders, and ready-to-eat soups. And, you know, this is innovation on display. What she also does is to work with Bureau Veritas. Bureau Veritas is a quality company, such that at the point of production of those powders, fruits, and ready-to-eat soups. The ready-to-eat soups is interesting because the soups are dried. So the soups don't come like soup. You just add hot water when it gets to your destination. So that it makes it easy to move around, right? But I was saying that she works with the quality inspection company so that at the point of formulation, they are able to see what is the toxicology report. Would this thing be accepted in the international market? What are the parameters we need to test for? And, you know, this is innovation on display. Another person I would like to talk about is Dr. Labo. So Dr. Labo is a dentist, actually. And you know what I love about Dr. Labo's story is that she was trying to solve her own problem, which was a back pain problem, right? And that was what led her to Moringa. And when she bought the Moringa powder from the market, she found out that it wasn't effective. So she started planting Moringa and making her own moringa. And she found out that people were also, she was recommending it to people and people were getting it from her. And after some time, she decided to start selling to them. And then she started selling to them. And she then went into soap and into powder, into tea. And, after some time, she expanded her business line to include other natural products. Dr. Labo is over 60 years old. Yes, she's over 60 years old. You can also Google her or check her out on IG. And so if you are not young here, you are still in good company. It's never too late to start. So, like I mentioned, I would like for you to Google these two women and look at their websites, pay attention to the products that they started with, and look at how many other products that they have been able to come up with in the line of their business. Dr. Labo, for example, has scrub, she has serum, she has black soap, she has lip gloss, she has toners, face washes, and some very interesting products. And then pay attention to the niche markets where they are playing also. So what's the next step for you as someone who is on the call, right? It is to think about it, that how will my product fit into the trends that we mentioned earlier that are driving global demand in agribusiness. And those trends are the growing demand for food security, sustainability, preference for organic products, digital transformation and agri-tech innovations, trade policies and market access, and the demand for value-added products. The easiest way to seize the opportunities in the global market space is to understand what is driving the global marketplace and to position your business effectively. What will you do differently? Would you check out neighboring African countries to see what products they are demanding for? Would you look at your own product, your current product, and look at what ways you can improve upon it? Can you tailor your products to the nutritional needs of a particular market? Do you want to play in a niche segment? And I'm putting this out there. And if you can think about it on the spot, you can drop it in the comment section that what can I do differently? What do you think you can do differently? But if you need time to think it through, you can also take out time and think it through and, begin to come up with what you can do differently from what you are doing currently, or how you can fit your product into these global trends that are driving the global agribusiness market. Thank you so much for being such an attentive and interactive audience. I saw the chat section moving quite a lot during this presentation. I think I've exceeded my time. I've taken up my time. I've taken up more time than I'm supposed to take up. But then if you have questions, this is the time that I would like to take those questions that you have. Okay. So I'm looking into the chat section, and what's the next thing I want to do? Someone is saying what next I want to do. The person is thinking about it. Okay. Okay. Okay, you see, I can already see collaboration going on. Someone is processing yam powder in Tanzania and is asking another person if they can collaborate. That's lovely. Right, so I don't know if anyone has questions that you want to ask at this moment. I know that it was quite a lot that we packed into all of that. I know that it was quite a lot. Okay, someone has raised their hand. Temitope, go ahead with your question, please. How do I get market market for plantain flour. Okay. Temitope, you can go ahead. If you are asking your question, we can't hear you. So maybe you should. Oh, she says she can't unmute herself. So you can drop the question in the chat box. I can pick it up and answer. Someone said for the Sisal Association, the challenge is finances.
Okay, thank you so much for the section. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you so much for the section. I joined in quite late, but I was able to get one or two things and some insight. My question is this. Now, you mentioned that there are opportunities for farmers and let me just say people in the agribusiness that the government sponsor and something like that. Now, I want to find out, are there association of exporters that we as like smallholders farmer can join so that we can get like more information that are available? And secondly, I know that I'm into catfish and I know that catfish exporting is no longer new. They have like opportunities that are out there. But sometimes as a smallholder farmer, someone just starting in the game, it can be difficult to like navigate. That's why we attend trainings like that. So what advice do you give, especially when you're starting out as a business owner and someone is also interested in exporting too?
Okay, so for the association, there's the Nigerian Export Promotion Council, which is like the umbrella body that exports in Nigeria covers, right? So that association covers exports. And when you go to the Nigerian Export Promotion Council's website, you can see some of the trainings that they offer to farmers and people who are interested in going into exports. But then there are also industry-based associations. So I dropped one. I don't know if you're a member of the AW Fishnet. I know that that one is for catfish. I have dropped that in the chat. So maybe you can Google it and then you can see how you can join that association. What that does for you is that it puts you in a community of like-minded people who sometimes already know what the process is for exporting to the international market. And when you are in their community, you're not just by yourself trying to get into the export market. You are in a community of people who are trying to get into the export market, and then they can handhold you and ensure that you don't make the mistakes that they have made because they were solo flyers in the market. Wow, I see quite a number of hands.
Okay, I can see a number of persons' hands are raised aside from the ones in the chat box. So I think I will start with Nasiru Awolu. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. So you can kindly unmute and ask your question, and then please try and make it as brief as possible because we have a lot of questions in the chat box. Thank you. If you're speaking, Ashley, we can't hear you. You have to unmute.
I said, are you having me now?
Yes.
Oh, good day, everyone. Even though I come late, but I learned a lot and I had a lot. One thing I wanted to add is that on the issue of this agri-business, especially here in Nigeria, the issue is that those institutions you are saying, like the Nigerian export, the export, just now, you have just finished saying it's the organization. We also have the Nigerian Export Processing Zone Authority, which was established solely to help. Okay, sir. We solely established to support export businesses in Nigeria. So the issue is that lack of orientation and lack of awareness training, especially to the crude areas where those farmers are. these are one of the barriers or one of the trends that we face in Nigeria. They did not reach us. Our local villages are dumped. They are not aware of these opportunities. So there is need for effective collaboration to ensure that with those institutions, to ensure that awareness and training are done, especially not in the urban cities, but in the rural and rural areas where those farmers are resided. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Nasiru, for your addition. So, Tayo Ishola, please, you can go ahead and mute and then ask your question.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much. That was a fantastic question from the presenter. So my question is that, please, Ma, can you kindly give us an understanding of some, products that are actually prohibited from exports, or is it that all agricultural, products, are exported? Thank you.
Okay, if I heard that question very well, you're asking what products are exempted from exports. Is that your question, sir?
I don't think I heard him clearly also. I lost him halfway. So, Tayo, kindly probably drop your question in the chat box because we didn't hear you clearly. So, Innocent or Chair, kindly unmute and ask the question.
Okay, so some products are exempted from exports. There's a full list for Nigeria on the Nigerian customs site, right? NCS website. There's a full list, but I know off the top of my head that maize is on that list. So if you were planning to export maize from Nigeria, then it's on the prohibition list. But if you check the Nigerian Customs Service, there's a list of items that are prohibited from exports, Nigeria Customs Service. So if you check, you'll see the list of prohibited items.
Okay, thank you so much. Innocent or Chair, do ask your question. After that, we'll check for questions in the chat box. Thank you.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Madam Presenter, for a nice and awesome presentation. Well, I would love to ask a question based on the first introductory part of this webinar. Ma, you made mention about precision farming and using a case study of a friend that is based on the US that could not do some kind of agricultural production based on the location where he found himself. I recently made a research about a newly introduced technology on the agricultural sector that could help one to be able to detect the particular crop to be produced on a particular area. So in the advent of precision farming, can't such kind of technology be used in some regions to detect the kind of products or produce to be cultivated in that particular location, which will also foster productivity and less of wastage when it comes to the agricultural product? Thank you.
Okay, so your question is more like you have a technology that can ascertain what products can be what products can do well in a particular area. That's your question, and you are saying that can't that technology be used? The technology can be used. So now you are the one who is then going to tell a lot of people that, so you are the one who is going to push that technology, and you're going to push it in the midst of exporters or farmers who are farming for exports, to say that in this area and in that area, these products will do well and get maximum yield, because with our precision farming technology, we have been able to ascertain that this place would give us this kind of yield versus if you put the products in that other area. So yes, it's an excellent innovation if it has already happened. And, it's one of the things that I spoke to when I was talking about agri-tech innovation, IoT, and, the fact that there are a lot of innovations that are coming up. So it's one of the things that is driving the global trends for agribusiness. So you have a wonderful technology that you're sitting on. You just have to put it out there so that people who are stakeholders can use that technology for export.
Okay, thank you. So we have a question in the chat box. It says, thank you so much, Ma, for the presentation. How can we get a list of legit logistic brands for exports, especially for China?
By logistics brand, what does that mean? Is that logistics company? I don't understand what the person means by logistics brand.
So I guess the person who asked the question should expatiate a bit so we can pick it. So another question is, how can I access markets for my product in the international market?
Okay. Okay, so there's no one size fits all for that question, because first of all, I don't even know what product it is, right? And like I mentioned earlier, there are different markets, and the different markets for different countries are demanding different things. In fact, let me mention something. So if I was selling cocoa, for example, I can sell my cocoa to UK and I can sell it to Europe. In UK, I can sell my cocoa to a food company or I can sell it to a cosmetics company, right? So the kind of product I am selling and who I am targeting will determine what market I am going to. So even in the UK, if I'm targeting the cosmetics company, then I'm not in the same line as the person who is targeting the food company. That one they're going to use to make chocolate. The one that I'm selling to the cosmetics company, that one most likely they are going to use to make cocoa butter. So it then depends on what your product is. So if your product is if it's an ethnic product, for example, like all this yam flour and all of that, or what other products can, or herbal teas, for example. We spoke about how Europe is looking at sustainably sourced products. So it then depends on what the market is asking for, because that I have a product doesn't mean that, I say this a lot to people. People will say, introduce me to a buyer. So that I introduce you to a buyer doesn't mean that the buyer will want to buy from you, especially if your products don't meet the specification of the buyer. So that was why I mentioned the issue of market research. What does each market want? There's no blanket size demand for each market. In the same market, different industries, the pharmaceutical industry might be demanding for something else, and the cosmetic industry might be demanding for something else. Same product, same country, but different parameters.
Okay, thank you so much. You just spoke about market research, and then a question just gave me like a few seconds. Question is, market research, as you have mentioned, is technical and professional. How do I embark on it, and should it be outsourced? That's the question.
Okay, most times I think market research should be outsourced because, like you said, it's very technical. So, like I said, it's layers of research. And that's why I gave that example of it, depending on the quality of my product. If a market is sourcing for organic, for example, and your product is not organic, you you have already, that market is already out of one of your buyers because the market is saying, I want organic products. So you then go ahead to markets that are looking for just the plain product. And so you need to then streamline, you need to target that particular market. So I think it's better that is outsourced, except if you have the time. So there's ITC market tools. You can Google it if you want to do the work yourself, right? But then you can always outsource. There are a lot of research companies online that can help you, that can tell you what each market is demanding for.
I think we have one last question in the chat box. It says, how can one source customers in abroad? And it's a two-in-one question. And how can one start the export activities?
Okay, how can you source customers abroad? It's still part of market research or market linkages. So there are different ways to source for customers abroad. Gosh, there isn't so much time to answer this question, but there are different ways to source for customers abroad. One of them is through the commercial centers of the embassies. So if you go to a commercial center in an embassy, they know what the buy and sell for their countries are. So if I go to the commercial center of Italy, for example, they know what the Italians want to buy from Nigeria and what Italy is demanding. They know what the Italians want to buy from Nigeria, and they know what Nigeria wants to buy from Italy. Do you understand? So they have that information. Another way is through B2B sites. Although the B2B sites can be very tricky, most times maybe 20% is what you get. Another one is through the market tools, right? The commercial section, the commercial center of an embassy. Another one is through the market tools, right? Another one could be through trade fairs, right? When you go to a trade fair, I know that quite a number of people have heard about trade fairs, specialized trade fairs. So there are specialized trade fairs for different products. There's sesame seed trade fair, peanuts conference, international conferences, that is. Of course, when you go to an international conference that is about cashew nuts, for example, you're going to get buyers and everybody in the value chain in those conferences. So that's another way of sourcing for buyers. I think that going for trade fairs and conferences might be one of the most authentic ways of sourcing for buyers, because you can see the buyer face to face and the buyer can see you. And then there's also through the trade promotion agencies. So NEPC on their website, I think they have a couple of resources on how you can get markets for your products, right?
Okay, thank you so much. So we have the last hand that is still raised, Rutendo Shumba. Please, you can unmute and ask your question.
Hello, good evening. I'm Rutendo Shumba. I've been excited to be part of this webinar. I'm coming from Zimbabwe. I've got two issues here. The first one is that I did not clearly get the name of Adielo, the one whom you said we can Google and find out more about her. You talked about Adielo and Dr. Labo Osude. I managed to pick the full name so that I'll be able to Google. That's the first thing. So the other one, you just said Adielo. I'm not sure about the full name. I wanted to get the full name. Then the other issue that I have is that I wanted to do the packaging or buy packaging from China. So I'm afraid maybe I will not deal with authentic people. So my issue was, is it possible to get some details of reputable packaging companies from China? I want to do some personalized packaging.
Okay. Okay, so I've dropped the names of the women in the chat room. If you can look into the chat room, you can confirm if you can see it. Adeola Balogun and Labo Shude. Okay, so for the packaging companies in China, I don't know any off the top of my head, but I can find out. So you can either send me a message on LinkedIn or on Instagram. Let me just read.
Okay.
I know that a lot of
Okay.
people, they are packaging from those countries. So I can get a name or a couple of names for you that I can send to you. So that's
Okay,
my
thank you.
LinkedIn or Instagram. Those two, I answer them myself. The others,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we just had someone raise her hands. Please, that would be the last question for today. Adetokunbo. I hope I pronounced that right. So sorry if I didn't. Please, you can unmute and ask your question.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Hello.
Good evening.
Yes, it's not silly. I'm from South Africa in KwaZulu-Natal. I'm a small-scale farmer and I'm interested in exporting. I know I dropped a message in the chat box, but I just want some clarity because cassava is not too big in South Africa, and we do have people from other countries who use cassava. They reside in different cities around South Africa and where I come from. How do I go about planting cassava and making it available to those people who come from the other African countries? Because I do have land and I see this as an opportunity to get into cassava processing and actually sell it to the shops of people from other African countries. And also, in terms of exporting, which country would be interested in cassava exports if I were to take my cassava and sell it outside of South Africa?
Okay, so I tried to respond to it in the chat, and I responded North America. So the cassava, it depends on how you are planning to sell it. Are you planning to process raw? Are you planning to process it, or are you planning to sell it as cassava chips? So you could be selling as are you selling it as cassava flour, or you're selling it as cassava chips, or as tapioca? It depends on how you're trying to sell it.
I'm selling it as it is at the moment, but the plan is to go into processing and process it into cassava flour.
Okay, so if you are planning to process it into cassava flour, then like I said earlier, different markets have different specifications for the cassava. So it starts first of all from what kind of cassava are you farming? I know that there are different varieties of cassava that people farm. So it starts from what kind of cassava are you farming? I know that in North America, in recent time, in the last, I think, 6 months, there is a growing demand for tapioca. Honestly, I've not looked into it deeply, why they are looking for tapioca, but I know that there's a growing demand for tapioca, and that's from cassava, right? So if you are thinking North America, it might be one of the things that you're thinking of processing into. But even for the cassava flour, I advise that now, right, you check out what the quality parameters for cassava flour for exports is currently, so that you will know beforehand, before going into processing, that if I process this my own cassava, it will meet the quality specifications. One of the challenges that cassava from Africa has is the fermentation process and the aflatoxin levels, right? So you need to be able to be sure before you process that your cassava, you need to know what the quality of your cassava is before you go add another layer of processing to it, right? So check out what the quality of that cassava is. And then before you go ahead to process, and check out what the quality parameters for cassava is in the export market before you go ahead to process, so that you can know if you are going to be able to meet those quality parameters. So you can find out from the quality companies. I don't know if Bureau Veritas works in South Africa, but I think that there should definitely be SGS in South Africa, or there should be Intertech in South Africa. Those are quality inspection agencies. They should be able to tell you what the quality parameters are, so that you can know if you are going to be able to meet those quality parameters or not. Someone said that I have still not told them how to start exporting. The first step is typically export readiness. And there's an export readiness check if you are from Nigeria on the Nigerian Export Promotion Council website. I have a video on export readiness if you check my YouTube. You know, some of these questions, I have answers to them on YouTube. It's just, you know, we have very limited time here. And so some of these questions I'm answering, if you go there, you definitely see the answers to some of those questions. Very short videos addressing some of these questions. We have run out of time. I don't want Anna to throw me out of the room. Over to you, Anna.
Okay, thank you so much, Adetokunbo. So please, I see a lot of questions that are quite similar. So do well to check our videos on YouTube. We have listened to some of them. I've had the opportunity to listen to some, and they are quite insightful and practical. And thank you so much for taking out the time to do so much justice to the numerous questions you had to answer here. So before we let Ms. Adetokunbo go, please would love to take our group photo. We call it family pictures. Let's turn up on our camera and smile. So my team members would be who are on the call with me would take up the snapshots. For those who are going to go and meet Adetokunbo in her LinkedIn, that is your evidence. I was in the Open Export Series class, ma. You said I should reach out to you on LinkedIn. Attach the picture to it. So ensure you also screen grab from your own end, and also reach out to her. I'm very certain she'll be very available to answer you and respond to as much as she can and as much as she's available to. So please, let's turn off on our camera. I can only see, I see a lot of persons haven't done that. I can see Tobena, Rutindo, Taiwo, Nelson, Benedict, Kabir's video is on. Let's have more persons. We are over 100 persons on the call, but then very few people have turned on their cameras. So thank you. Thank you, thank you. Oh, members, please kindly take the shot. Let's put in our best smile, like your best picture pose. Thank you so much. Great. So thank you so much. I believe we have taken the shot. So thank you so much, Ms. Adetokunbo, for your time. This has been quite a very engaging and insightful session. So we are going to be moving on to the next segment for today. I'm just a minute to share my screen. Okay. So I have very few of us here are part of the AFC community, and then these sessions and many more are some of the things that we offer our community members we offer entrepreneurs in our community. So I would be calling on the membership coordinator, Ebere, who will be coming up to take us on the membership drive. Hi, Ebere, please over to you.
Thank you, Anna. Good afternoon, everyone. And my name is Nosa Obano, Membership Officer at Africa Food Chain Makers. I would speak to entrepreneurs on this call that are not yet members of the community. So before I start, I would like to appreciate. Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. So, like I said, before I start, I would like to appreciate our guest speaker for that insightful presentation and knowledge sharing. And for members on the call, I would like you to help us put in the chat box that I am a change maker so I can know those who are not a part of our community or who are not yet benefiting from our membership offers. So let me see our change makers in the house. If you're a change maker, let me see in the chat box. Don't you have change makers in this call? AFC members. Where are we? Yes. Yes. I can see a lot of change makers. Very nice. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Omar. Thank you, Janet. Thank you, Ngozi. So for non-change makers, why haven't you joined the community? This is a question for you. First of all, at AFC, like my colleague have said, we are an entrepreneurs hub that connects different entrepreneurs across Africa. Presently, we have presence in over 45 African countries, and we are looking to expand. We help entrepreneurs build their capacity. We help them scale. We help them network. We also provide them the visibility they need for their businesses. Thank you. So part of the opportunities we give to our entrepreneurs include we help them to assess and also strengthen the agribusinesses by scaling them up. We also prepare the agribusinesses to enter new African and global markets. We are also keen on referral opportunities. We always refer entrepreneurs to speaking opportunities, to funding opportunities, and also to exhibition opportunities. Like I said, we have a vibrant community group, which includes entrepreneurs from over 43 African countries. We also enhance our members' visibility through our social media promotions and also engagements. And we have a resource hub where entrepreneurs can get all the necessary information they need in terms of links to opportunities like funding opportunities, links to events, links to trainings, and also links to data resources that they can leverage and also expand their businesses. These are the few benefits you offer to entrepreneurs, but for change makers, rather for non-change makers on the call, we have simple steps to become an entrepreneur or to become part of the community. The first is that you must answer 3 of the required questions we always ask our potential entrepreneurs, which is that you should work in an agribusiness or you should own an agribusiness. That is, you must be an owner of an agribusiness or the founder, or you work as a top management in that agribusiness which you work for. And also your agribusiness that you own or work for should be in existence for at least 6 months before trying to register for a membership community, because you want to scale your businesses. So you should have already started, and we provide you the necessary resources to scale. Also is that it is not mandatory, but it is necessary that you have a social media presence or a website. An alternative for this is your CAC documents or your link to your Instagram, Telegram, WhatsApp, Facebook, and some other social media places that can see your activities. So if you say you're a chef in the agri-food space, there must be a website or a social media that speaks to your activities as a chef. If you're a processor, you should have like a social media that also speaks to your processing activities. Once these 3 criteria are met, what you need to do is to log into our website or the link that has been dropped in the group chat. Click on that link and you become a member by answering the simple questions we require and filling out the information about your personal information, including your name, country, just your demographics, and also your company details like your company description, your company name, your company website or social media handle, and your company profile picture or logo. So once you've done this, all you have to do is to click on the submit button. And once you click on that submit button, we get a notification that a new pop-up a new potential member has signed in to register. We review all the credentials that you sent, credentials, including the information you provided on your registration. And one thing you should note is that when you are registering, do not forget your email or your password that you are inputting when registering, because that is what you need to access your membership dashboard. When you click on the submit button and we verified your account, you are now a bona fide member of the community, and you can leverage all the opportunities or benefit that I said earlier. Another thing you should notice is that some members think they've, or some non-members think that they've already been verified and might not be able to access the dashboard. That is because you are not yet verified. You are still an archive member because some of the information that you filled were not complete. So we request that anytime you register as a member, always try to log into your dashboard to see if you can access all the full benefit of your dashboard. For archive members, you would be able to log into your dashboard, but all the other benefit that you can go to your dashboard, you won't be able to access them because your information is not yet complete. But for verified members, you'll be able to leverage all the resources on our dashboard because your information will be verified. And simply to verify your information or to update your profile, you just have to log into your dashboard and access the settings button where you can update all the necessary information you need to update as a member. And you'll be added to our membership community, our membership group, where you can also connect and chat with other entrepreneurs. So having a dashboard is not just the only way we connect our entrepreneurs. We always reach out to entrepreneurs via the newsletter, via our WhatsApp community, and a lot of engagement goes into our WhatsApp community. We have the experience sharing session in our community, and we also have the referral system where we encourage other entrepreneurs or our members to share these opportunities with other entrepreneurs in their network and also use the referral system. You can always navigate to the referral system on your dashboard. It's on the top right corner of your dashboard as a member, and you can leverage this by sharing this opportunity with other entrepreneurs to join the community. And lastly, speaking of the topic for today, the exporting, the market linkages, we at AFC also try to make it as possible to have a marketplace where our entrepreneurs can promote their businesses, can also showcase their products. So we have a marketplace hub where our members can upload their products. All you have to do is that this is only accessible to our members. So as a non-member, you can view the marketplace from the AFC web, but as a member, you have to log into your dashboard to also be able to upload these products yourself. So what you have to do is just log into your dashboard, navigate to the marketplace, and upload whatever details of your products you want to upload. We encourage all our entrepreneurs to always leverage this opportunity because this is the way we create visibility for our entrepreneurs, upload their products, generate sales, and also connect potential network or potential clients. Thank you so much. And please, for non-members, click on the link that we shared in the group to connect and become a member. Registration or verification takes only 48 hours. Over to you, Anna, and I'm available for further questions.
Okay. Thank you. Able to finish the last batch of our is here. So also, I just want to add that a lot of people think Braze or SCP makes them automatic members of AFC community. They are two different things. You would have to also sign up to join our community, regardless of whether you were part of any of our programs. So do well to click on the links in the chat box, and it just takes a few minutes and you would sign up into our program. To be part of our community member. And I can see links to a WhatsApp group. This is a disclaimer from us. This is not created by AFC. So if you're joining it, you are joining that group on your own discretion. So do ensure you take every security measures and be careful as you click on links to join various groups. We already have a community. Once you join our community, there is a designated WhatsApp group where you can discuss and explore, collaborate with persons. So all you need to do is join our community and you have access to the group that has been created and vetted by the AFC. And for those also asking for recording to to today's session, it would be uploaded on our YouTube channel latest by tomorrow. So be on the lookout. You can go to search for African Food Change Makers on YouTube, and it would be the most recent video that has been posted by us. So thank you so much to everyone who has been on the call on this session. Thank you so much for your engagement. Thank you for your time. And most importantly, thank you for your willingness to grow and get better. So do well to join our community, just like my colleague has shared. And we are open to receiving your feedback. And also don't forget to follow African Food Change Makers on LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook to stay updated on all of our offerings and upcoming activities, because this is the first series of the Open Export series. There will be much more in store for you. So do well to join our community, to follow us on social media, join our community, and also subscribe to our newsletter so you can stay up to date with all the things we have in store for you. So till we see again next time, thank you so much for being on the call. And on behalf of the African Food Change Makers crew, we thank you and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye, everyone.